My memory or lack of memory of that incident was when I was in graduate school in Arizona. Jack came to town with Alice to visit a friend of yours up in Carefree, Arizona. It was a Sunday, and you invited me over for dinner at your friend's house. And I went there, and we consumed a dozen bottles of wine that night, I think, and typical wine tasting, right? And I remember that I had a presentation the next day for one of my group projects. Don't remember getting home that night, back to Glendale, Arizona. I couldn't find my car the next morning where I parked it when I got home, and had my notes for my presentation that day. So I woke up really in bad shape that next morning, and don't remember how I got home. But made it through that presentation the next morning nonetheless, because I had studied the notes so that I made it through. But that was back in 1991, I think, was my memory of being in Arizona when you came to visit.
Go ahead.
So I think that somebody wants to make a toast now that we all have our...
I'd like to propose a toast to the Baxter family and others, particularly, having had the pleasure of, most of the time, of being involved with Jack and Alice and Judy and Randy. They were almost like family to us, even over the years. And I've been fortunate enough to be able to keep in touch, even this past 40 years while Jack's living on the wrong coast. And here's to a healthy family and a loving family, and what a pleasure it's been to know them.
Here.
You're not supposed to write to yourself with the husband.
Here's to all of you.
Why not?
My name is Mike Parker, and I was one of those who grew up very much in the shadow of the Baxter household. It was right in my backyard, and there were five or six of us. Bill and Ned Niblock, Red. Little different generation. You were there, but I'm not talking about you this time. Red McMichael, Dennis Haggerty, and I. And I really feel that although we all had fine parents, exceptional parents, we had one parent coordinator, one real parent in a surrogate way that really enriched our lives. And I like to think of our going over to the canning factory, and we'd play around in the warehouse, playing hide and seek on the can stacks. We learned to skeet shoot. We went out. I'll never forget ever what a particular tree is in Maine, because we couldn't figure it out, and you said it's a very poplar tree. So I will never forget poplars. Learned to ski. My first skiing ever was done on the side of Canaan, a hill in Canaan. I don't know if I could find that again. Now it's probably a forest. And Sunday dinners often, and usually duck if it was in the season. Just a wonderful place to go. They call them community centers now, but the Baxter home was really a home for all of us, and I think I'm the only one here today, and so I want to speak for all of us and say how much we appreciate it, and raise a glass to you, my friend Jack. Thank you very much.
And your times.
Perseverance.
60s.
Birthday, yeah. But on this subject, what Mike just said, this is really one of the reasons I wanted to do this meal, this getting together, is to bring Mike and people that really were impacted by my dad, Annie, and all those peers of my brother in particular, who Dad really changed their lives by throwing them in the car and taking them skiing, throwing them in the car and taking them skeet shooting. Their parents didn't do that. Mike's father was a musician. I wish that his father had thrown me in the front parlor and let me know that what an amazing musician he was. I didn't have that opportunity. But So that's really one of the main reasons I wanted to. So Dad really realized what an impact he made on people's lives, you know.
I don't really think he did realize what an impact he made, because Mike and Red and I and Randy, through emails, and all of us, whenever we get together, we always talk about how lucky we were to grow up in that neighborhood and how many things that we would never have done had it not been for Jack. That whole business about playing in the warehouse in Corinna, I mean, what parent would think when he was going to go up to spend a little work time to load the car full of kids? And it's funny that you mentioned that, because that was one thing I did not fit into my little poem that I meant to. We used to have a great time doing that, but the skiing, the swimming, the camp, the horseback riding, we wouldn't have done any of it if it hadn't been for Jack. Our lives would have been completely different, and none of us have ever forgotten it. We did have great parents, but Jack was the one that just exposed us to so many things that we would have never, ever done. And none of us have ever forgotten it, for sure.
Yeah, we used to go to the candy company, and I mean, there's this huge warehouse with these boxes full of canned goods, and we'd run around and climb up and play hide and seek all through this huge warehouse. It was wild. And then we'd take boxes of the lids, you know, the lids that go on the cans, and we'd take on the way home, and we'd scale them out the window.
Never. I can't believe
You never did that?
No, I don't have any memory of that at all.
Well, going to Sugarloaf, you remember Jack driving with his knees?
I couldn't have promised.
I can remember we'd all load in the car with Jack. My mother would have a fit because she knew him well, and she only had Red and me, and we were both in the car. And I can remember her distinctly saying to him one time, "Don't forget, all of my eggs are in one basket." And little did she know, we're bobbing along in the snow, and he's driving with his knees. And of course, we're all loving it. We're just thinking it was great.
Andy, I remember him driving with his feet on wheels. And I loved Alice and Jack because they go like hell. It was really fun. You hit those little tickle hills.
Yeah.
In Harpswell, and you really speed up, and you just do it.
Yeah, we have on the way to Harpswell, we have this thing. Oh, that's where Daddy spilled his drink.
Martini.
The martini. Where Daddy spilled his martini. I don't know where. Do you remember where it is on the road?
Alice's favorite.
We generated our
Yeah, that's it. My mother always said she was going to die with a mailbox in her teeth. Because he always hugged the left, the right side of the road. And I just remember Mother saying, "Jesus, Jack!" Jesus, Jack!
There's a reason for that. Because most of the roads that I drove on were dirt roads that had been paved over. There was no central line, and they were very narrow. And the only way you knew you wouldn't hit the car that was coming at you was to put your tires on the between the tar and the gravel.
Yeah.
You had your tires over there with mailboxes whizzing by. You wouldn't hit the other guy. No white lines, no center line.
Safety factor.
What I remember driving to Harpswell was my grandfather. We'd get to the American Meat Farm, go down in the dip here, and he would always say, "This is where Hart stopped the car and spanked John."
That's where his grandfather?
Yeah.
Oh, whatever. That's funny.
Well, I know one